the first time in history that we actually said to ourselves, education is getting too costly. Really? What else are you going to spend money on, pal? If you're not going to spend money on schools. And why is it that money is spent in rich schools and not on poor schools? I mean, and then now we're privatizing things as if that was an answer to something. And I don't care whether people blame the teachers' union, which is, I don't know, it's to me, it's like being an intellectual pretzel to actually blame the people who work hardest, work closest. And I've actually had this one guy on the radio say to me, he said, your friend Rob Reiner hung up on me the other day. And I said, why? He said, because I said taxes were too high. I said, okay, let's start again. You think that cops have a right to live above the poverty line? Yeah. You think that firemen deserve to live in the communities they serve? Yeah. You think that teachers deserve... Well, wait a minute. Teachers are the rotten eggs. All of them? Not all of them, but enough. And I said, and you turn your kids over to them for 9.5 hours a day, for 5 days a week, for 12 years? What kind of a schmuck are you? I said, now, who pays those salaries? Silence.
You didn't say you do.
I said, who pays their salaries? Well, I said, you do. We do. That's called taxes. So the next time you talk about taxes, try thinking not how big or small, but what do we need? Try starting the discussion from what do we need? And then the answers come out. We need this money and this much money and this much money. All right, okay, then divvy it up amongst the people correctly and, you know, let's get some sanity back here. But when he said teachers, he said, what are you going to do about the teachers? I said, no. What are you going to do about the teachers? I have an idea. I said, why don't you try tripling their salaries and firing the bad ones? Okay? But for them to be treated like shit, and then for them to, you know, argue how desperately they need tenure. Well, of course they need tenure. And of course, we have to figure out a way to deny it by tripling their salaries and giving them their value. Without them, we're dead meat. Without cops, without firemen, without teachers, we're dead meat. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. So this civic initiative on my part is what I call pre-partisan. It has nothing to do with the Republican or Democratic parties. I could take a whiteboard and you could tell me any problem that we have today, and I'll bring it right back down to the absence of the teaching of civic authority. We no longer understand anything of the stories on the front pages of any newspaper in the country. You do not understand Ukraine. You do not understand the Wall Street bailout. You do not understand foreign policy in the Middle East. You do not understand ISIS. You do not understand anything. And it's because they do not offer it to you. And they do not teach you how to think clearly. And that is all stuff that can be learned and can be taught. And you must teach love of country to the very young. You try to teach a teenager love of country, and you'll be met with a wall of cynicism and skepticism. But the young can learn to love their country with glory tales and mythologies that lift up the values of the Constitution. And if you don't do it, your children will come to you at a certain point and say something that has never before been said. They're going to say, how could you have abandoned us like this? Because we have eviscerated their middle and high school education, eviscerated it. I attended the White House, what they call the civic rollout at the university level. When I heard the words university level, I raised my hand and I said, if you think you're going to hold off teaching love of country and culture and civic authority to when a kid is 19 years old, you will be met with absolute failure. You have to start when they're young, and you have to have Enlightenment values taught to all. And there is a statement in the Constitution called the Preamble. And the Preamble is a statement that if you're an American, I wouldn't understand anyone disagreeing with any phrase of the Preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. If anyone here just heard something they disagreed with, raise your hand. Okay. Then do me a favor. Sign it. Take the preamble, sign your name to it, and send it to my website, which is the DreyfussInitiative.org. If I get 250,000 signatures, I'm going to call for a civic strike. 30 minutes on a Monday or Tuesday, coordinated by time zones, 12:30 East, 9:30 West. For 30 minutes, you don't go, you don't do, you don't buy, you don't call, you don't do nothing. You stop. Not enough to hurt the economy, but enough to get their attention. And that's what you've got to do. Get their attention. Wake up! Wake up! Because we're blowing it. We're really blowing it. American education is in the toilet. We are being outthought by every of the great powers. We have a large military without any political authority that runs it. We are in desperate trouble. And if I could get across to you how urgent this is and how fast it's going to eat us, I'd juggle. So take a look at the preamble to the Constitution, put your name under it, and send it to my website. And I will call for a national civic strike.
Thank you.